Hey, Dwayne, do you think Fury equals hype this year?
Well, I thought Gatekeeper was going to be hype. I thought Banshee was going to be hype. But Fury 325? Nah, I don't think so.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beat the Beast, where we discuss the news and trending social media topics and give our opinions of them, all before the beast hits the final break run. Tonight, we got some really special news, and we have a nice little game, but before we get into that, let's introduce ourselves. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And I am Dwayne Sponseller from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Such a great time to be back with you once again here on Beat the Beast. Andy, looking forward to a great show.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. Our first topic tonight is going to be Fury 325. And as you can see, we got the clock and it has started. And this first topic is Fury 325 had its first test run in the past week. And man, does it look impressive.
It really does, Andy. I tend to be like you, and I'm not a big fan of watching point of view videos before I get a chance to write it. Although with all the attention on media these days and internet and video of them wanting to put the ride out there to let everybody see what it's like, I guess you really know chance that you can't see it before you ride it nowadays. But I'll tell you what, Andy, it really, for its first ride, looked like it did have a lot of speed. I do really enjoy that the element where they're going to be going underneath the people walking into the park, just like Gatekeeper has with their, over top of the riders. I think that puts a great element into that entire ride. The length of the ride is what really got me. It's just super long. The only problem I have, Andy, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but I think, is it going to lose speed towards the end? Is it just going to be a front-end coaster, or is it going to be one of those coasters that we've talked about before on other shows like Uncut and also the SHQ before, where we talked about it's a great coaster at the beginning because it's got the speed, it's got the great drop, but at the end, is it going to lose all of its luster because we're just trying to get the train back to the station? And so that's going to be where I'm looking to when I get down there to ride it. Is that the way this coaster is going to be? Because you couldn't really tell but with the first POV. Of course, it was cold, windy, and the first time not a lot of people in the train, obviously just dummies, so you really don't know what it's going to be like. But I tell you what, Andy, it is definitely, that first drop is when it crests over that hill, you look around, that's going to be something to freak out about.
That first drop, absolutely amazing. Going into the overbank turns, going under the, like you said, the pedestrian walkway. But like you said, I am very concerned. The first time I watched that video and I saw that brake run, now we all assumed that it was going to have a brake run. We didn't know where, but they put it right on that first airtime hill that without those brakes, oh my word, would that have been an amazing airtime hill, ejector air probably. And then you go through the little turnaround helix, and then you got a series of bunny hills after that just didn't seem like they packed that punch. Now, hopefully in the summer with a full train, that's still packing a wallop, but I don't know. That I can only imagine how that ride would be without that brake run on that first airtime hill. And I'm just like, oh, if only they didn't put that in. And it goes back to, I don't know why, because I was talking to my good friend and your good friend Danny Miller about this, and it's like they don't need it. That airtime hill, that brake run there, the trim brakes are basically hurting capacity, because the faster you get that train back to the station, the faster you can dispatch another train and have it, keep moving and getting people through. So you're actually slowing down the ride a little bit in order for, I don't know what. Maybe they thought it would be too intense. I'm not sure. But like I said, we're going to have to see how it runs with a full train, with all the people on it in the heat of summer. It gets really hot down there at Carowinds. That's when we're going to see what this ride really can do, for sure. So let's move on. So that time we obviously beat the beast. The discussion went a little bit shorter than the 4 minute, 10 seconds that it takes the beast to get into the final brake run. But our next story, I don't quite know what to think about this. So if we could start the timer right now. And our next story is actually the ghost of Walt Disney. It was spotted at Disneyland. Now, this is one of those stories that we see trending on social media, that back a few years back, we saw these closed caption televisions in this video, and you could clearly see a ghost-like figure walking from the buildings, walking out over the water. It was kind of interesting. It's probably some of the most interesting ghost footage I've seen. A lot of ghost footage is kind of like, I don't know if that's really a ghost. It looks just like a lens flare or something really hokey, or it just looks fake completely. This one looked pretty realistic, I'll tell you. Now in the video, they clearly explain that it could be because they reused the VHS tapes to film the closed caption TV. So it could just be echoes from old videos that weren't completely erased, that have overridden themselves onto this new nighttime footage. Because, like I said, the ghosts do look legit. They look like human forms. You can see them walking in a human-like way. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Is Walt Disney still living at Disneyland out in California?
Andy, absolutely not. I am not a ghost hunter in any way, shape, or form. This is absolutely redonkulous. And here's why. Okay, my wife watches all these weird ghost hunting stories and stuff. And, when I was 12 and 13 years old, I can remember going up to one of our, it was DeSales Heights Academy here in Parkersburg. It was a nunnery. It was also had an all-boys school. And there was a big massacre that happened there. And supposedly all these kids had been buried underneath a concrete structure, and there was all kinds of gold and stuff down there. And so when we were kids, we wanted to go up there and before they tore the place down and actually go through it all and see if we could find one of these golden crosses and find the corpses. And really what we found was a whole bunch of nothing because it was just pretty much a fake story probably in the end. I can see where people would get used to this, but I saw this footage, just watched it again a few minutes ago, and it really does look like it looks like a pole, almost like a pole. That it looks like it's walking. And and there's one time it walks across the water, one of the ponds there at Disney World. And if you really wanted to look at it that way, yes, it looks like a ghost walking through there at night. But if my opinion counts for anything, which usually it doesn't, here's what I think actually is happening. You said about the echoing. Okay, I worked in video for a long time in high school, working with it now as well. You get this all the time, especially if you're using VHS or any type of non-digital video form. You're eventually going to get, echoes or overlaps is what we call them, where the video is, when you keep recording over something, the film continues to degrade, and sometimes it's going to bleed into each other. That, to me, is what's happening here, because if it's closed-circuit footage, TV, a security camera, for example, you're going to get people walking in and out of the park. And so what you're seeing is people walking in and out of the park that day. Someone has taken the time to edit this to make it look like it was only one form that actually bled into this film to make it look like there was a ghost. Someone went a long ways into making this video. So that's my belief. I don't believe in ghosts at all. Go ahead.
So you're not even saying that this is just like a random happenstance, that this happened. You're saying that somebody took the time to purposely edit this footage in there, to overlay it, to make people think, well, maybe it might be a video echo, maybe it might be a real ghost, but you're saying that somebody took the time to actually make this hoax, basically.
Absolutely. There are so many programs out there that you can do that today, and the professionals, anyone who wants to play a joke on social media going, for example,
There's the bell. So we did not beat the beast that time. But we here on Beat the not even close. We were still yapping away there. Here on Beat the Beast though, we always like to play a different game every week. And this week we have a new game that we're introducing for the first time here. So Dwayne, why don't you explain to us what this new game is going to be all about?
We're going to call this, all right, and so that I don't use the words that the other show uses, all right, we're just going to call it The Odds. And here's the point of this show, or this game part of our show, this segment of our show. What's going to happen is we're going to have two topics, and we're going to announce the topic and discuss it, and then we're going to give our percentage of what we think, if that specific event or if that ride or whatever is actually happening, do we think it's actually going to occur? Or, for example, one of the stories today would be, what is the percentage of what we think people will like this specific item or this specific event? And we're going to ask the question to both myself and to Andy, and we're going to decide what we think is the percentage that these events are going to occur. And so it really becomes interesting because a lot of times Andy may think that something's going to occur and I may not. Our opinions are going to differ, and this game can be really fun because of that as we explain why we pick those specific percentages. And so with that, I'll send it back to Andy, and he'll give us our first topic of the odds.
So the first topic we have, this past week we learned of a story of this summer Jurassic World is going to be a huge hit. And in the first Jurassic Park, you had a character by the name of John Hammond, who is played by the great actor Richard Attenborough. And his brother now, Sir David Attenborough, has this plan that in England he is going to build the real Jurassic Park. Okay. Before you go crazy, before you get crazy all about this, he plans to have it called Jurassic Cove, part of a Jurassic museum exhibit. And at first, it's just going to be a regular museum exhibit. It's going to have fossils and different skeletons possibly. But the goal is that down the line, maybe by 2021, which isn't too far away, he wants to have an underwater aquarium with a dinosaur called the Plesiosaurus. And now these aren't going to be real Plesiosauruses. They're going to be animatronic robots swimming in this underwater aquarium. Now, to me, this sounds like a really cool idea. But if I'm going to set a percentage on this, like he's calling for this project to only cost $122 million, which for anyone looking at theme park building and just this underwater robotic dinosaur exhibit, I have a feeling that's going to cost a little bit more than $122 million. And I don't even know if the technology is there to make lifelike dinosaurs be able to swim underneath. To me, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So I'm actually going to set the percentage here pretty low. And my odds of this actually happening, 20%.
Okay, 20%, not too bad, not too bad. I tell you what, when I read this story, and I know you're a huge dino fan, so that number kind of it surprised me a little bit because I would think that you would hope that this would happen. I can understand where you're coming from with that low percentage. I am totally with you. I just don't see it as the way that it has been announced. Okay, I just don't see it as such. Now, is there going to be something that goes along with this museum? Absolutely. If I were to say that they were going to do something spectacular with this dinosaur museum, then I would put it up to 100%. But the way that it's been announced with this robotic museum, absolutely not. There's no way. $122 million is not nearly the amount of money. There's no way that the technology is advanced enough for this yet. Will it be by 2021? Perhaps. But I still don't see it, especially as the way that they have blueprinted this out as of right now. And so my percentage points, 0.5%.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Well, we'll see what happens with that story. That time we did indeed beat the beast again. So we are well under. We are 2 for 3 right now on beating the beast on these topics, which moves us into our last topic. if we could start the timer again. And the last topic is a new video game is coming out for the Xbox and possibly for some other video systems. But the game is called ScreamRide, and it kind of takes place in this futuristic world where crazy stuff happens. That the coasters have like jet rockets on them. Not as realistic as other games that we've seen in the past, like maybe not so much Roller Coaster Tycoon, but definitely a game like No Limits 2, which is super realistic. This one is more about the physics and more about trying to keep people on the ride and trying to keep people, happy, but within this physical realm where all this crazy stuff can happen. Now, Dwain, I don't know how I feel about this, because the question before us is, will enthusiasts get behind this? I'm going to put this one at maybe a 60% possibility of enthusiasts being able to get behind this. What do you think?
I would have to see more of the actual game itself. I mean, I've seen some screenshots of it, obviously some of the things that were in the story itself. I have talked to a few of the gaming community members that we have at COASTER-net.com, as well as a few other places, who said that they are interested in that. I don't know if that's going to sway my decision on the percentages. I can tell you right now that I really enjoy No Limits. I do enjoy, if I'm bored at home, sitting down and trying to create a roller coaster. I am not very good at it. I am not Danny Miller in any way, shape, or form. But I do like to just, because he does all this interesting work with it and actually, promotes it on Facebook and stuff, which I love. But I just don't have the time to do that, nor do I have the engineering ideas to do that type of thing. But I do like to mess around with it to see what things I can do with it. But Andy, in my opinion, this game is more for the user to be entertained. Maybe not so much to build, but to be entertained. I mean, I do understand that you can build the coasters and things like that, but I think it's more about entertainment. What kind of value of entertainment can you get out of this game? And I think that's going to kind of maybe be more interesting to the entire gaming community, more so than just maybe a roller coaster enthusiast. So with the question that's posed in front of us, will this game be interesting for enthusiasts? I'm going to say 25%.
Really?
Just because I think it's going to be more for people overall, maybe not just the enthusiast itself.
Now, reading the review we have posted down, like we said always, all the news stories you can read down at the bottom in our comment section. We have links to everything that you need to know before we talk about this. But, this review is saying he pretty much liked this game a lot. And there's different things you can do, like you can destroy buildings, like you can bust through buildings with your roller coaster. Like I said before, the physics work, so if your G-forces are too high, the people will be whipped right off of the ride and maybe fall into the ocean. So there seems to be like a lot that you can do with the game. And like you said, I don't know if that appeals to enthusiasts. That we've been, the last few years with video games, it's been all about making better reality, making it seem more real, that parks are actually using this as like point of view videos now, that before they unveil a new ride, they put out this video and it's basically done in No Limits. So, but on the flip side, No Limits is really hard to use. Roller Coaster Tycoon, to some extent, really hard to use. Maybe this Xbox game, like I'm not really into No Limits. Maybe this is the game for me where I get my roller coaster fix, but I can also. You have it. The beast has defeated us again on this one. Those are all the news stories we have for tonight on Beat the Beast. Dwain, any final thoughts before we leave here tonight?
Nope. Another great show. The Beast got us twice again. We're 2 for 4. But next time we'll do better, hopefully.
Next time.
Again, make sure you're watching. Make sure you're out there watching all the shows on COASTER-net TV, as we will continue to bring you the biggest and best things, especially coming forward as we are getting ready to hit media day time for many of the coasters like Fury 325 Thunderbird, and some others as well. So make sure you are staying tuned to COASTER.net TV here at the YouTube channel for COASTER.net. And as always, join the forums over at COASTER.net.com and join in on all of the fun as we discuss these topics there. So, Andy, back to you.
And as always, right on, Ride Warriors.